So here we have a 4090 wood chipper. Now, we started making these about 1.5 years ago, and we've always been trying to make them a little better as we go. Every product Splitfire makes is really geared toward rental. We try to make it simple, easy to use, and it has to be bulletproof. Because in rentals, either the person doesn't understand what the machine's meant for, or they just don't care. And so, with this machine, we've added an option about 3 or 4 months ago called the heavy duty clutch, which is really geared toward rental. And what this option is compared to the conventional design, which is basically a slipper style clutch that will slip on the belt, and the belt is a wear item. In this case, we actually have a heavy duty clutch that uses a 2-belt system, and within this system there is a centrifugal clutch that slips on a clutch pad, not on the belt. And within this system we have a heat sensor on that clutch, so that if the customer goes ahead and overloads the machine, that clutch will begin to slip, and from there it will trigger the heat sensor and it will shut the machine down. There's an illuminating light that pops up that shows them what has just happened. And so in this video we're going to go through the machine, show you how it's designed, and we'll do a simulated slip so we can see what to do in case of an overheated clutch. So here I've got the 4090 up on an assembly stand. I've got the belly pan taken off with just those 2 lug bolts. It takes about 10 seconds. And here you can start to see some of the differences. So on the back, you can see we now have a dual groove pulley for 2 belts. We actually machined that ourselves. Double belts. These are the same belts between the stock belt system and the heavy duty clutch. So there's no difference in the belts. They come from the same company, same belt number. And then up here you can see our heavy duty clutch. So there's internal clutch pads in here. Because these belts don't slip, we have a belt tensioning system. So you can see there's a plate here and there's a bolt up here, and you can simply release the 4 engine bolts, leave them slightly snug, and you can increase the tension on the belts by tightening this, or you can decrease them for a belt change by simply loosening it. So very easy to work on. It's not hard to get to, and then you can see beside it there's some sensors located right there. So what happens is a person rents the machine. Let's say they overload the machine. They put too much wood in it, or a piece that's way too big for it, and the rotor comes to a stop back there. The belts are not going to slip because the belts have quite a bit of tension on them. The clutch starts slipping, so those pads internally start slipping, and this section of the clutch starts heating up. This sensor catches that temperature and will shut the machine off before it starts getting too hot. So let's say you got a customer that's really rammy and they're just going for it. They could try to overload the machine. The machine's just going to shut off. It's not going to self-destruct this clutch. In the past, we've had designs, now this is 3 or 4 years ago, where we had clutches like this but no sensor, and the machine would go out on rental. The customer would rent it, overload it, and just let the machine slip until the poor clutch basically melted to pieces. Destroys the bearings, destroys the clutch. In this case, it gets hot, not super hot, just good and warm, and this sensor will shut the machine off. Now you'll notice there's 2 sensors. One sensor turns the machine off, the other sensor runs the switch and also the ring light that's an indicator to the customer. So you can see there's a little AA battery box right there. That is a waterproof battery box, and that is there just to run the LED lights on the switch, because the Honda engines do not come with a power coil in this configuration. So we say change the batteries, once a year sort of thing, and you'll be just fine. If the batteries are dead, the switch is still going to work. It's still going to shut the machine off, so that's not a problem either. It's just not going to give the indication light to the customer. So there's not a whole lot to it. Very simple system. There's no boards or high-tech equipment to make this work. It's just 2 simple on-off switches, that thermal switches that catch that temperature, and from there it turns the machine off. So what we're going to do is put the belly pan back on it, and then we'll simulate a clutch slip, and from there I'll show you what can be done to override that switch and let it cool down to get the machine back running again. I've got the machine nice and warm to operating temperature. So to simulate a wood chipper overload or a rotor stoppage, I'm going to simply take the rotor lock pin and insert it into the rotor so it doesn't spin. So you would normally use this pin for locking the rotor when you're changing your blades, but in this case I'm just going to lock the rotor with this pin just to simulate what a overload would look like. So from here we're just going to take this, go. So now the rotor is locked, it's not going to spin. We're going to turn the machine on again, start at 1/4 throttle approximately. What's going to happen is once I rev the machine up, that rotor is going to stay still, but that clutch is going to start slipping. And under normal circumstances, that clutch is going to slip anywhere from about 12 to 20 seconds. In that range, it's going to start building heat, and the machine's going to shut itself off. All right, so there you can see we got a bit of white smoke coming from the clutch. That's not abnormal. Yeah, that clutch is hot. Yeah, and so what you can see too is that we have our clutch light is on. Yeah, so the machine's going not going to start right now. So if that customer wanted to, they could try to start the machine. It's not going to do anything for them. Remove the obstruction first, which in this case is the rotor lock, but in their case is going to be wood. It could be a big branch, it could be a bunch of smaller branches, it could be many different things. If you want to start chipping soon again, this light has to turn off before it starts. So what you can do is, again, put it at 1/4 throttle, hold this button in, and the machine will start. The second you let go of this button, the machine's going to shut off. So you got to hold that button in there, and what's going to happen is the machine's going to start spinning the rotor, and it's going to draw cool air across that clutch. It's going to cool that clutch down about 2 to 3 minutes. So you got to tell that customer to sit here, put it on half throttle, and wait for about 2 to 3 minutes, and that light will turn off, and then the chipping can continue from that point. The 4090 clutch is pretty simple. There's not a lot to it. It's going to prevent this machine from self-destructing. If you're a homeowner buying a 4090, you do not need this setup. You're going to care for your machine, you're going to understand the limitations, and the most you can ever damage is an $18 belt. But if you're a rental operator renting this machine out every weekend, you're going to want this option to prevent the customer from having downtime if a belt breaks, or from the machine destroying itself when that clutch slips. So if they do rent it, they overload it, that sensor is going to catch that clutch before it overheats and wrecks itself. And that customer might call saying, hey, why did the machine turn off? The blue light's on, I don't understand. You can tell, hey, wait 20 minutes, it's going to cool itself off, and you can continue your chipping. Or you can say, hold the button down for 3 minutes, start it up, and it's going to draw cool air around the clutch. It's designed to do that, and it'll cool off a lot quicker, and they can continue chipping from there. So, you know, we try to make our machines as bulletproof as possible for rental. You know, small chippers like this that are compact take a beating. People throw all kinds of stuff through these things. So this option has been great for us so far, because it basically stops machine from wrecking itself and lets that customer know, hey, you know, I'm going a little bit too hard in this machine, I gotta pull back a little bit. So you know, if you have any more questions, give us a call at the office. We're more than happy to help anybody, and hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.